Hello students, myself Maitri Dave and today we are going to understand the different classification of roofs. Let us begin our today's lecture. So basically when I talk about the classification of roof, it can be classified into three types. First one is the pitch or sloping roof, second is a flat or terraced roof and lastly the curved roof, right? So basically what happens, the choice of the type of roof will depend on the climatic condition, shape of the building, availability of material and importance of building. The pitch roofs have sloping top surface and they are useful at places where rainfall or the snowfall is very heavy, right? While when I talk about the flat roofs, these are useful at places with moderate rainfall. And when I talk about the curved roof, they have their top surface curved in the form of shells and the domes. So now let us understand the different types of pitch roof first. So here the first one is the single roof, second is the double or purlin roofs and lastly the curved roof, which are types of pitch roof. So let us understand first the single roofs. So in this type of roof, the common rafters are provided to each slope without any intermediate support. So there are various types of varieties of single roofs are available, in which the first one is the lean-to roof, couple close roof, collar beam roof, collar and scissors roof. So let us understand all one by one first. So here the first one is the lean-to roof. So here we can say this is the simplest form of a pitch roof and it is also known as the pent roof or axial roof. In this type of roof, one wall is carried up sufficiently higher than the other one to give necessary slope to the roof. The rafters are suitably secured on the wall plates and eaves board, batten and roof coverings are provided as shown in this figure. A lean-to roof is generally used for shades, outhouses attached to the main buildings or some verandas. Generally, the suitable or we can say the maximum span for this kind of roof is about 2.40 meter. Here you can see a clear image of lean-to roof where you can get the idea how one type of slope is provided with all the components, right? Next is a couple roof. So in this type of roof, the common rafters slope upward from the opposite walls and they meet on a ridge piece in the middle as shown in figure. The common rafters are firmly secured in position at both the ends, one end being on the ridge piece and other on the wall plate. Such a roof is not very much favored because it has the tendency to spread out at the feet. It means the wall plate level and to push out with force the wall supporting the wall plates. Generally here the span is up to 3.60 meter. So this is the clear image of a couple roof. Now let us move to the next one, which is couple close roof. So this roof is just similar to a couple roof, but except that the legs of the common rafters are connected by a tie beam as shown in this figure. In couple roof there is no tie beam. Here in couple close roof one tie beam is there, that is the only difference. So the tie beam prevents the tendency of rafters to spread out and thus the danger of overturning of the walls is avoided. The tie beam can also be used as a ceiling joist when required. So here generally we can adopt it economically up to a span of 4.20 meter. For increased span or for greater loads, the tendency of the rafters to sag in the middle can be prevented by providing a central rod connecting the ridge piece and the tie beam, if required whenever the span is too long. Such a member is known as the king rod or the king bolt. Here you can see a clear image of couple close roof where the difference is only that one tie beam is added, right? Next is the collar beam roof. So this roof is a variation of couple close roof. A tie beam is raised and placed at a higher level as shown in this figure. You can see it is there but at some higher level. So the tie beam is then known as a collar or a collar beam. A collar beam roof is adopted to economize the space and to increase the height of a room. Whenever we want a height higher in a particular room, then we have to go for this kind of arrangement. So, a collar beam is usually fixed at 1/3 to a 1/2 the vertical height from the wall to the ridge. The lower is the collar, the stronger is the roof. And this roof can be adopted up to maximum span of 4.80 meter. Here you can see a clear image of a collar beam roof. Now let us move to the next, the collar and scissors roof. So this roof is similar to the collar beam roof except that two collar beams which are crossing each other to present an appearance of scissors are provided as shown in figure. It means our arrangement like a scissor is provided. Such a roof is known as the collar and scissor roof. A clear image shows the idea that how it is constructed. So let us move to the second type of pitch roof, which is double or colline roofs. So when the span exceeds about 2.40 meter, the necessary size for rafters become uneconomical. Hence, in order to reduce the size of rafters, the intermediate supports called the purlins are introduced under the rafter as shown in figure. Each rafter is thus supported at 3 points. First at the bottom, second at the top and third at the center. At the bottom on a wall through the wall plates, at the top by ridge beam and at the center by the purlins as shown in this figure. The effective span of the rafter is thus nearly much lighter than it would be if spanned the whole length from eaves to the ridge. Such a roof is known as the double or colline roof and it can be economically adopted up to a span of 4.80 meter. Now let us move to the next type, which is a truss roof, where when the span exceeds 4.80 meter and when there are no inside support wall or partition from the purlins, the frame structure is used that is known as a truss. The spacing of trusses depend upon the load on the roof, position of cross walls, spans and materials of the truss. But the spacing is generally 3 meter for wooden trusses. The trusses carry the ridge piece and purlins on which the common rafters rest. The trusses span in the same direction in which the common rafters run. Thus, the roof in this system consists of the following three components. First is the rafters which support the roofing material. Second is the purlins to provide intermediate support to the rafters. And last is the trusses to grant support to the end of the purlins. So some of the usual form of roof trusses are as follows, like king post, mansard, truncated, Belfast, steel and the composite. Let us understand all one by one. The first is the king post truss. In this type of truss, the central post, known as the king post, forms the support for the tie. The inclined members, known as the struts, prevent the principal rafters from bending the middle. The king post truss is suitable up to a span varying from 5 meter to 8 meter. That is the identification where we have to go for the king post truss, right? That is the span duration. It means the limit of span up to 5 to 8 meter we can use this king post truss. So the suitable joints are provided between the rafters and tie beams between the principal rafter and the king post, between the king post as well as the tie beam and at the end of the strut. The joints are further strengthened by the straps or the bolts. Here you can see a clear image of a king post truss. Now the second is the queen post truss. This truss differs from a king post truss in having two vertical members known as the queen post. The upper end of the queen post are kept in a position by means of a horizontal member known as a straining beam. A straining seal is introduced on the tie beam between the queen post to counteract the thrust of struts. The additional purlins are supported on the queen post. So the queen post truss is suitable for roof of span having 8 meter to 12 meter range, right? So that is the importance of queen post truss. Now, some combination of this king post and queen post we can use, and when we can use this. So, convenient combination of these two can be made to increase the sustainability of queen post truss up to a span of 18 meters. For this purpose, the queen post truss is strengthened by one more upright member known as the princess post on either side. Both figure shows the line sketches of resulting combination of the king post as well as the queen post truss. You can see clearly in this slide. Now let us move to the third one, Mainster truss. So this truss is named after a French architect, Francois Mainster, who designed this truss to satisfy the requirements of municipal laws. So this is a two-story truss with upper portion consisting of a king post and the lower portion of queen post. It is thus a combination of both king and the queen. Again, it has two pitches, and the upper pitch varies from 30° to 40 and the lower one varies from 60 to 70°. You can see a clear image. Now, the use of this kind of truss results in the economy of space, and a room may be provided in the roof between two queen posts. However, this truss has become obsolete at present mainly because of its odd and ugly appearance and also due to the introduction of steel trusses. Figure A shows the details of Mansard roof and figure B shows the line sketches of two alternatives of this type of truss. Now, let us move to the fourth one, which is all about truncated truss. So, this truss is just similar to the Munster truss, except that the top is finished flat with a gentle slope to one side. So, here you can see figure shows a line sketch of this kind of truss, and it is used when a room is required in this roof. Next is the fifth one, bifast truss. It means it is in the form of a bow. It consists of thin sections of timber with its top chord curved. This truss can be used for long span of about 30 meters provided the light roof covering is used. This truss is also sometimes known as the latticed or low string truss as shown in this figure. Next is the seams truss. So for spans greater than 12 meters, it becomes economical to use the steel truss. The mild steel is easily available in rolled sections of standard shapes and designs. This facilitates the roof constructions. And for small spans, the steel trusses contains of angles riveted or welded together through plates known as the gusset plates. As steel can resist both the stresses and compression and tension, the design of steel truss is simplified. The arrangement and the sizes of various members of a steel truss depend on the span, loading and wind pressure. In our country, the timber has become very costly except in hilly regions, and hence the steel trusses have practically replaced with the timber trusses. Figure shows some of the standard form of the steel trusses. Now let us move to the seventh one, composite truss. So these trusses are composed of wooden member as well as steel or some wrought iron members. The steel is used for members which have to resist tensile stress. A typical composite truss is shown in figure. It is light in weight and economical. However, special fittings are requested at the junction of steel and timber. It should be seen that the joints in composite trusses are such that cast or froged fitting are easily used, as shown in this figure. So with this, we have completed these different types. Now let us understand the flat or terraced roof. So a roof which is nearly flat is known as the flat roof. It should be noted that no roof can be laid perfectly level. The roof must slope in one direction or the other to cause the rainwater to flow off rapidly and easily. The construction of flat roof is same as the floors except that the top surface is made slightly sloping in case of these roofs. It can be of two types, the Madras terrace and the Bengal terrace roof. let us understand both of these. First is the Madras terrace roof. So the procedure of construction is as follows. The teak wood joists are placed on rolled steel joist with a furring piece between the joist and rolled steel joist. So the furring is placed sloping and it gives necessarily slope to the flat roof. The course of specially prepared terrace brick is laid diagonally across the joist, and the size of brick is generally 150 mm by 75 mm by 25 mm, and they are placed on edge in lime mortar. After the brick course has set, a course of brick bed concrete is laid, and the thickness of this course is about 75 mm, and it consists of three parts of brick beds, one part of gravel and sand, and 50% of lime mortar by the volume. The concrete is well rammed for a period of 3 days and allowed to shed. The flat tiles are then laid over the layer of concrete. The tiles are laid in two courses, making the thickness of about 50 mm. Alternatively, the china mosaic pieces may be used in place of flat tiles. Finally, the surface of the roof is finished by three coats of plasters as shown in figure. So the surface is rubbed and polished and it is given a slope of 1 in 30. As this type of flat roof construction is widely used in the old Madras state, the Tamil Nadu, it is known as the Madras terrace roof. Here you can see a clear image. Now let us move to the second type, which is Bengal terrace roof. So again, let us first understand the procedure. So the rafters are placed with a slight inclination at 300 mm to 500 mm. One end of the rafter is inserted into the main wall to a depth of 200 mm and its other end is supported on the veranda wall. The veranda wall is a beam or a lintel which is provided support a wall over an opening. So it turns in support over piers or the post. The battens are placed at right angle to the rafter at a center to center distance of about 150 mm. And the course of flat tiles is then laid in mortar over the battens. Finally, the surface of the roof is finished in any one of the following methods. Where the first method says the two or more courses of flat tiles may be laid and then the surface of roof is rubbed and polished with 2 or 3 coats of plaster. And second method says a layer of fine jelly concrete may be laid over the first course of tiles and the thickness of layer of concrete may be of 40 mm. On this layer of concrete, another course of flat tiles is laid and the surface of roof is rubbed and polished with 2 or 3 coats of plaster. As this type of roof is mainly used in the Bengal state to cover verandas, it is known as the Bengal terrace roof as shown in figure. Now let us understand some of the advantages of the flat roofs. So first thing is its construction is very simple. It is easier to make a flat roof fireproof than a sloping roof. The roof area can be utilized for roof gardens, drying yards or playing. The terrace can conveniently be used for sleeping in hot seasons or for celebrations of functions. The construction work of upper floor can be easily started if we require. In case of pitch roof, the entire roof is to be removed and it is to be replaced by a new roof under such circumstances if we want some another floor construction. So the base thing is that we have so many options for this flat kind of roofs and they are more stable against the high winds. So these all are the advantages. Again, we can add to these advantages that it is not necessarily to enclose the triangular space in case of a flat roof and hence it leads to the overall improvement in the architectural appearance of the building. A flat roof does not require false ceiling, which is case of a pitch roof, particularly desirable in case of a pitch roof. For multi-story building, a flat roof is the only choice because overhead water storage tanks and other services are located on the terrace. A flat roof is found to be overall economical than a pitch roof. Now let us see some of the disadvantages. So a flat roof cannot be used for long spans without the introduction of intermediate pillars and beams. The cracks are developed on the surface of the roof when the variation in the temperature is high. The pockets of water are formed on the surface of the roof if the slope is not sufficient. This leads to the leakage of roof, and it sometimes proves to be difficult to exactly locate the position of leakage on the roof. At places where rainfall is heavy, the flat roofs are not desirable. The dead weight of the flat roof is considerable, and hence it proves to be more expensive. Its initial cost is higher than the pitch roof. It is difficult to trace and to rectify the leakage in the flat roof, and the progress of work in a flat roof is slow as compared to that of the pitch roof. Now, let us move to the last one, which is the curved roof. So, these are just the modification of pitch roof and are frequently employed in modern age to cover large areas and to give architectural effects. The shell roofs and domes are the varieties of the curved roof. They are useful for big structures such as the factories, monumental works, libraries, theaters, recreation centers, etc. The curved roof may be constructed of timber or RCC, and the latter material being very common nowadays. There are two common forms of the shell roof. First is the north light shell roof and second is the barrel vault shell roof. So a dome is a rounded vault forming a roof. It is useful when roof is to be provided on circular brickwork or regular polygon shaped walls. The curved roof afford pleasing appearance, and in most of the cases the construction of the curved roof result in the economy of steel and concrete. Due to arch action, the stresses are considerably reduced, which result in thin sections for the curved roof. Also, they provide space in the roof which can be utilized for some purpose. A recent development known as the doubly curved tile roof has combined the advantages of flat as well as the curved roof. So, let us understand the procedure of making this doubly curved tile roof. So, first thing is the precast units of cement concrete tiles are prepared at the site, and the size of tile is generally kept as about 700 mm by 700 mm with a uniform thickness of at least 20 mm. The tiles are in the form of domes with a rise of about 50 mm. The cement concrete of proportion 1 gem 2 gem 4 is adopted and the units are properly cured. The precast units of RCC beams are prepared and the reinforcement is provided as per design. The dimension of beams are usually 90 mm deep and 130 mm wide. The stirrups are kept projecting about 50 mm above the precast portion so as to have bond with cast in situ concrete. The cement concrete of proportion 1 gem 2 gem 4 is adopted and the units are properly cured. The beams are suitably laid across the supporting walls. So the tiles are placed in the position after spreading some mortar on the edges of beam, and the minimum bearing of the tiles on beams should be 25 mm and that on the wall should be 50 to 70 mm. The hunches between the humps of tiles are filled up with the cement concrete of proportion 1 gem 2 gem 4. So suitable waterproofing treatment to the roof is given at the top, and the roof thus exhibits a flat surface at the top and curved surface at the bottom. Now, there are some of the advantages that are claimed for this doubly curved tile roof. First is it can be constructed in the short time as it affords the advantages of the prefabrication. Second is it does not require constant skilled supervision and can be easily adopted for the villages. It is cheap in construction and as well as it requires less foam work. So that's all for this classification of roof where we have understand the pitch, the flat and the curved roof in detail. I hope you all understand all three topics and classification in detail. See you soon in the next lecture. Thank you for watching.